Okay, so we're recording. So Jill, can you please tell me a little bit about yourself and Jarrett?
Yes, so Jarrett is a 3PL provider, and we have a really highly personalized approach. So we're really hands-on with our customers and have a lot of customized solutions. We also offer warehousing, PO tracking, order fulfillment, anything and everything in supply chain we can help with. So I'm a senior manager for our logistics operations department, and I've been with Jarrett for almost 10 years. I have a really unique perspective, I think, because I started at our entry level position and I've moved through the different levels. So I have a really good grasp of what we do, what we can do, and what our history is. It's been really exciting to work for Jarrett and be in the 3PL space. It's a lot different from some of the other aspects of supply chain, but it's really fun and unique and keeps us on our toes all the time.
I bet. So that isn't a common thing because I believe that now the younger generation, they tend to only stick with jobs for about 2 to 3 years before they switch. And then that's how they kind of work their way up throughout the corporate ladder, I guess. So how has that experience been for you, just staying with the company the entire time?
It's been really awesome. So I started right out of college and I had no experience. I had a friend that worked here and she recommended me and I went through that whole process, got hired, and really I wanted to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? Is this something that I'm going to like? Is it not? We're in a really small town and Jarrett gave me the ability to travel. We get to go see customers, we get to build relationships. I never thought that I would find this type of company in such a small town. So I think that's one of the things that made me stay here is just the opportunity for growth. And our president, I mean, he's an awesome guy and he really invests in us and really is here every day. He shows up and it's motivating for sure.
That's really good to hear because oftentimes we hear about how CEOs and presidents are always in the house or in the company every day. So that must really change your viewpoint when it comes to work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he doesn't have to be here. And we all know that, you know, and he chooses to be here and he chooses to build those relationships with us. So it's really awesome.
Right. And so right before we started recording, you also mentioned that it's your first day back in the office because of the current pandemic. So how did the coronavirus pandemic affect your role at Jarrett?
So we are really heavy on phones and customer service and just always being there for our customers. So we are not work from home. We were not set up to work from home. And in a matter of a week's time, we moved our entire operations to work from home, and it was really seamless. So we've changed how we've done business because we've had to. We've done more electronic communication. We're figuring out ways to create efficiencies using technology and just things that we might not do had we not been forced to. But sometimes when you're forced to just move your operations and figure things out, you start to do some things better. So that's been really cool as well, just to see how everyone has adapted and changed and what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm. I feel like people are communicating more now that they're at home.
I agree, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just
in different forms.
Right. Mm-hmm. And just like getting closer to their coworkers. And I'm back in the office too, not today, but that is something that I think shifted with the pandemic is the office mentality or just like the closeness within the office because we were at home for so long and now like we don't have to venture into people's workspaces. We can just message them on the side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely changed things. I think, you know, for some things it's better to text and to do the quick IMing. I hope we don't lose that personal interaction all the time.
I agree because we need it as humans.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all realize that in these last few months without being able to go places and really staying home, you learn how much even if you think you're not a people person, how much you really are a people person.
I agree with that. I can't imagine how other industries are going through it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then, what attributes do you think a successful supply chain leader has?
So I think one of the things that we've really seen in the last 6 months for sure is just being adaptable. I think you have to go with the flow, with supply chain and our industry. It's changed so much in the last few years. I mean, just looking at how much we all buy online, and immediately as soon as you place that order, even though it hasn't shipped, you're still tracking it. And that's what everybody is doing. And we're constantly like, I want it here tomorrow, because most of the time you can get things tomorrow. So I think being adaptable, being driven, you have to be really driven to be successful. There's a lot of things that they're not in our control, but it still impacts what we do every day. So it's just trying to figure out ways to get around that, being creative and just finding new ways to save money or to route shipments. I think those are some of the main things that are really important to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Adaptability and flexibility is just so huge. It's huge. I don't think anybody, if you don't have those traits, you couldn't have gone through this pandemic successfully.
I totally agree. Yeah.
And then you also kind of have a double whammy because you are a woman that is involved in the transportation and logistics industry, and then also the supply chain industry, which is traditionally really dominated by men. So how does it feel to be a woman in this type of industry?
It's been challenging at times. I've found a lot of times, I am the only female in the room. Mm-hmm. And at first, that takes a lot of getting used to, especially when, I'm younger. I'm a female, and this is a male-dominated industry. So it's just getting used to kind of putting yourself out there and being that only female in the room, being okay with that, and just learning how to work with different age levels and types of people and all of that.
Mm-hmm. I bet. So besides being the only woman, what are some other challenges that you have experienced?
So I think a lot of it is just getting that upfront meeting. When you ask for a meeting and you might have a terminal manager, for example, who's been in position for 40 years and it's an older man, and he just doesn't give you maybe that attention that you might expect or that a coworker might get. So I've had a lot of times when I've been on CRM trips or at meetings with my boss or with our VP of operations, and the questions that are asked will be directed to them sometimes, even though I'm that contact and I'm that expert. So it's just kind of learning how to react to that. And I've learned that, I'm not going to gain friends all the time. But what I can do is I can give it my all and I can show results, and people respect that. So once you kind of take out the I'm a female or I'm younger or whatever it is, and just focus on, I'm going to show you results, and that's how I'm going to get through those challenges, I think it just gives a lot of confidence to everyone.
Yeah, because the best sort of revenge is success.
Yeah. Yep.
So does it ever get to a break? Have you ever had a breaking point in situations like that? I can't even imagine being put in that situation and not feeling down.
There are times when it does make you feel like, you have to put in more effort and you have to do more just to kind of get where someone else is naturally. But for me, I've always taken it as a challenge. What can I do to get that person to ask me the questions? Or what can I do to get them to contact me first? And it's just having that confidence once you see other women around you start to get in management positions or lead positions. It just shows you that you're making an impact, and maybe giving that person the confidence because they see you not backing down. So I've really used it as a way just to push myself forward and just say, if you doubt me, I'm going to show you that you shouldn't, and you're going to regret that you did doubt me.
That is such a good outlook on it, because the general consensus of these interviews that we have done so far is that representation really matters within the workforce. And like you mentioned before, when someone my age sees someone like you succeeding and in higher levels of management, it gives us hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see that here. When I started at Jarrett, we were a much smaller company than what we are now, but there were no females in any type of manager role, executive role, anything like that. And now we have, out of our 8 managers, 4 of them are females. So it's really awesome to see that everyone is just kind of following suit, and it just makes me feel like I've made that impact with even my coworkers and given them the opportunities and just the confidence to try and go for it.
That's incredible. And that's really unheard of.
Yeah,
too.
It's been really cool.
Mm-hmm. And so I know that you are the manager for many locations. How is that going for you, especially during the pandemic?
It's been interesting. So we've just got, at Jarrett, we have numerous locations. We have an office in L.A., and that has been really different because for us, we have one set of regulations in Ohio, another set in California. Just learning to work with different people through different times like this, through different regulations. But at the end of the day, making sure that we are still Jarrett and still one company that's doing the same thing for all of our customers. And then we have customers throughout the US and within Canada. And that's been interesting too, because there have been embargoes on freight going from the US to Canada. That's been challenging, just working with different sets of regulations, again, with different countries. It's given us unique perspectives. And honestly, I've learned a lot that I'll continue to apply even once we're done with all of this.
You always learn from stuff like this. But then, why do you think more women should be involved in the industry, and how can we recruit and retain more talented women?
So I think, women are really good at relationship building, and we have a lot of natural tendencies that work really well in this industry. And when I first started at Jarrett, I had no idea what supply chain meant, what transportation meant. Honestly, I was, it's like, let me go get some experience and I'll see if I like it. Mm-hmm. And then you start learning about all these different aspects of transportation and what it can do. And it's so exciting. So I think just getting the word out there to show females what the options are. It's not just driving trucks, but hey, if you want to drive a truck and you're a female, go get in that truck and drive that truck. That's awesome. Right. But you think about warehousing and all of these things that are generally not female positions, but we're really good at them. And I think just seeing that other women are excelling and liking it, and then getting us involved in recruiting process. If you go to a college fair and you don't see any women at the tables for all these transportation companies, that might deter you from going up and learning more about them. So I think having just a good mix of different people and showing new candidates that we are a mix of types and personalities and everything, but we're going to work together and accomplish a goal.
Right. And especially when industries like transportation and warehousing aren't the sexiest options too, that can deter people as well. And so you have to entice people. And I think now that supply chain majors are becoming more popular throughout the US, it's really going to grow, and it's going to help with the industry as well. And it's going to recruit a lot more talented youth, but then also talented women as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think also differentiating between supply chain, the actual supply chain class that I took in college was the worst grade that I got out of any class.
Of
But I just
course.
like that background. But now that I'm doing it, it's so different when you're actually in the moment. So it's also just understanding that, it's not always what you see in paper or what you read in a book. The actual day to day is exciting and fun.
Yeah. And no day is the same.
Right.
Every day is different.
That's what I love about it. It's always different. Yep.
And then, so what is some advice that you have for those who are first starting out in the industry?
So my advice would be just to give it your all. I think that in anything that you do, if you go in and you only give half of your effort, you're never going to succeed. But there's so much opportunity in supply chain. So just showing up every day, giving it your all every day, and showing results. It's exciting, and I think that's what's going to draw people.
Is there anything that you would like to tell yourself, like your past self, when you first started at Jarrett compared to now?
I probably tell myself just to go for it a little bit sooner. I think I was a little shy and kind of, you see all these executives and you don't see any women, and it's like, is this the place I want to be? Is there a place for me? Because I don't want to just be an assistant my whole life. So just going for things sooner, and then really just mentoring the other women around me, which is something that I try to do now, but I think doing that sooner, it just gets a really great group behind you. And I think with women, we tear each other down sometimes,
Right.
but we also can bring each other up. And when we do that, it's exciting, and we're all in it for each other.
That's a really good point, because that is something that is so different about the supply chain industry that I've noticed compared to others, is that women are constantly rallying for each other and really encouraging each other. And it's so different. It's so unheard of.
Yeah, I can't tell you. One time I walked into a terminal in Edmonton, Alberta, and it was a female terminal manager. And as soon as I walked in, she said, "It is so refreshing to see a young female walk through those doors." And we just had like such an energy for each other that it made that meeting so awesome. We got so much accomplished. And then we really just wanted to like rally to do our part to help each other. And that was really cool to see. But I've never had a male terminal manager say, "It is so awesome to see a young female here." So it's just something that, it was a cool moment.
I got like chills just thinking about it. And so you're fairly young too. Has that made any impact on your career?
Yeah, I think, it takes a little bit longer. It did take a little bit longer in the beginning to kind of prove myself. A lot of times nobody would take me seriously in the beginning just because of how I came off, which, I totally understand that and learned a lot from that on how to work with different types of people and how to get them on my side. So it's been an interesting perspective, but, I think it's just something that young people should be in this industry because it is fun. It does take drivers. It takes people that want to be challenged. And I think it's just added to my success and my ability to be adaptable.
I agree. And there's so many misconceptions about millennials too, and how lazy and entitled they are. And I just really don't think that is true, because the millennials that I work with and surround myself with are just the hardest working people that I know. Just look at you, for an example. You worked your way up throughout the entire company.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think millennials get a bad name. For sure.
But then there's people like you, Jill, who just knock it down.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. And so I just have one more question for you today, because I know that you are a very busy lady. But how does it feel to be named as one of SDCE's top women in supply chain?
So I am really proud. It's an honor to be nominated, and then to actually get the award is really awesome. And it just makes me feel like I have made an impact not only with our company, but with people that I interact with, you know, at my customers, and just different interactions I have on a day-to-day basis. Just makes me feel like I have made that impact and like I've done something more than just route shipments and do supply chain things, you know. So it feels really good.
Oh, good. I'm glad. You deserve to be proud, and I'm glad that we were able to talk today.
Me too. Thank you.
No problem.